Katie Morrison stood in the center of the great hall. The walls around her were made of white stone that seemed to glow with its own light. Above her head, the ceiling stretched up so high she could barely see it. This was the Galactic Council chamber, where the most important decisions in the galaxy were made. Today, they were deciding the fate of Earth. Katie wore her best blue uniform with gold buttons. Her dark hair was pulled back tight, and her hands were folded behind her back. She tried to look calm, but her heart was beating fast. Around her, representatives from hundreds of different worlds sat in floating chairs that moved through the air like magic. The Zephyrian speaker floated at the front of the room. His body looked like a jellyfish made of light, and when he spoke, his voice echoed from everywhere at once. "We will now vote on Resolution 2847, the speaker said. The complete exile of the human species from galactic civilization. Katie felt her stomach drop. She had known this moment was coming, but hearing the words still hurt. 3 months ago, she had come here hoping to make friends for Earth. Now she was watching her world get thrown out of the galaxy. The first vote came from the Crystalline Confederation. Their representative was a tall being made of what looked like blue glass. When light hit her body, it made rainbow patterns on the walls. The Crystalline Confederation votes yes, the glass being said. Humans are too dangerous to remain in civilized space. Katie wanted to speak up, to defend her people, but the rules said she could only watch. The human delegation had already given their final statement yesterday. Now all she could do was count the votes against her world. The Reptilian Empire voted. Next, their representative was a large lizard-like creature with golden scales and bright red eyes. He stood up slowly and looked directly at Katie. "The Reptilian Empire votes yes," he said. "Humans expand too fast and fight too much. They will destroy us all if we let them." One by one, the votes came in. The bird people of Ethros voted yes. The Machine Collective voted yes. The Aquatic Federation voted yes. Each vote felt like a punch to Katie's chest. But then, something unexpected happened. "The Elven Stellar Republic abstains from this vote," said a musical voice. Katie looked up in surprise. The elf representative was beautiful, with long silver hair and pointed ears. Her skin was pale like moonlight, and her eyes were the color of deep forests. She wore robes that seemed to shift between blue and green like ocean waves. "Ambassador Lyra Moonweaver," the speaker said, his voice showing confusion. "You abstain? May we ask why?" Lyra stood up gracefully. When she moved, it was like watching a dancer. "The Elven Republic believes this decision is being made in fear, not wisdom," she said. "We choose not to participate." Murmurs filled the chamber. Katie felt a tiny spark of hope. If the elves were having doubts, maybe others would too. But the voting continued. The gas giant dwellers voted yes. The Silicon Valley Collective voted yes. The hive mind clusters voted yes. Each species gave the same reasons. Humans were too aggressive. Humans grew too fast. Humans were dangerous. Katie thought about her home planet. She pictured the blue oceans and green continents spinning slowly in space. She thought about the cities full of people who just wanted to live their lives and explore the stars. Were they really so scary? The truth was, humans had been successful since joining the galactic community. In just 50 years, they had built colonies on 12 worlds. They had made new technologies that helped other species. They had even helped stop 2 wars between alien races. But that success was exactly what scared everyone else. 2 more species abstained from the vote. The fungal networks and the energy beings both refused to choose. Katie noticed that all 3 species who abstained were ones that humans had helped in the past. The elves had been saved from a plague by human doctors. The fungal networks had been given new growing techniques by human farmers. The energy beings had been taught how to build better power stations by human engineers. When the voting ended, the numbers were clear. 237 species voted to exile Earth. Only 3 abstained. 0 voted against the resolution. The Zephyrian speaker's light grew brighter. "The resolution passes," he announced. "The human species is hereby exiled from galactic civilization. All human colonies, ships, and citizens must withdraw to the Sol system within 30 standard days. All trade agreements are canceled immediately. All diplomatic relations are ended. Katie closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, she made sure her face showed no emotion. She would not give these beings the satisfaction of seeing her cry. "The human delegation acknowledges the decision of the Galactic Council," she said in a clear, strong voice. "We will comply with the exile order." As the chamber began to empty, Katie gathered her papers and prepared to leave. Her hands were steady now, but inside she felt cold and angry. Earth had tried to be a good neighbor to the galaxy. They had shared their knowledge and helped their allies, and this was how they were repaid. She walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the huge chamber. Other delegates avoided looking at her as she passed. Some seemed ashamed of their votes. Others looked relieved that the human problem was finally solved. Katie was almost at the door when she heard soft footsteps behind her. She turned to see Lyra Moonweaver approaching. The elf moved like water, making no sound on the stone floor. "Ambassador Morrison," Lyra said quietly. "May I walk with you?" Katie nodded. They walked together in silence until they reached the corridor outside the chamber. Here, away from the other delegates, Lyra spoke again. "I am sorry for what happened today," the elf said. "My people wanted to vote against the resolution, but we were outnumbered. An abstention was the best we could do." "Thank you for trying," Katie replied. She meant it. At least someone had stood up for humanity, even in a small way. Lyra looked around to make sure they were alone. Then she stepped closer to Katie and lowered her voice. "There is something you need to know," she whispered. "The exile is not the end of their plans. Some of the council members are planning to make sure Earth never becomes a threat again." Katie felt ice in her veins. "What do you mean?" "They plan to destroy your colonies before the 30 days are up," Lyra said. "They will claim it was necessary for galactic security. Your people will be trapped in the Sol system forever, cut off from the rest of the galaxy." The anger Katie had been holding back finally broke free. "They vote to exile us, and then they plan to attack us anyway?" "Fear makes people do terrible things," Lyra said sadly. "They are afraid of what humans might become if you are allowed to grow strong in exile." Katie's mind was already working, thinking like the military strategist she had been before becoming a diplomat. If the galactic powers planned to attack, human colonies Earth needed to know immediately. They needed to prepare for war. "Why are you telling me this?" Katie asked. Lyra was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was filled with sadness. "Because in 500 years of life, I have learned to recognize the difference between justice and fear. What happened today was not justice." Elf turned to leave, but then stopped and looked back at Katie. "Be careful, Ambassador," she said. "The galaxy has made a terrible mistake today. They have turned the most adaptable species in known space into their enemy. I fear they do not understand what they have unleashed." With that, Lyra walked away, her robes flowing behind her like water. Katie stood alone in the corridor, feeling the weight of her world's future on her shoulders. The Galactic Council thought. They had solved their human problem by voting for exile. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. Katie Morrison straightened her uniform and walked toward her ship. She had a warning to deliver to Earth and very little time to do it. The galaxy had declared war on humanity without realizing it. Now the apex predators were about to show them what a real threat looked like. Katie's ship reached Earth orbit 3 days after the vote. She could see the blue and green planet below, looking peaceful and beautiful against the black of space. But she knew that peace would not last long. Admiral Lisa Chang was waiting for her in the orbital station. Lisa was a small woman with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had been preparing Earth's defenses since the first rumors of exile began. "How bad is it?" Lisa asked as soon as Katie walked into the command center. "Worse than we thought," Katie replied. She told the Admiral about the planned attacks on human colonies. Lisa's face grew darker with each word. "Those cowards," Lisa said when Katie finished. "They exile us and then plan to attack while we're moving out. How much time do we have?" "Lyra said the attacks could start any time after the exile deadline," Katie answered. "We have maybe 35 days at most." Lisa pulled up a holographic map of human space. Red dots showed the locations of all human colonies. There were 12 of them. scattered across dozens of light years. Each one had thousands of people who would die if the galactic fleets attacked. We can't defend all of them, Lisa said. Our fleet is good, but not good enough to fight the entire galaxy. Katie stared at the map, thinking hard. Earth had always succeeded by being smarter than their enemies, not stronger. There had to be a way. What if we don't have to fight alone? She said slowly. Before Lisa could ask what she meant, alarms began ringing throughout the station. A technician at a nearby console called out, "Admiral, ships are approaching Earth. Unknown configuration." Lisa and Katie rushed to the main viewing screen. Outside, they could see a small fleet of ships approaching Earth. The ships were beautiful, with curved hulls that seemed to be made of silver and crystal. Katie recognized them immediately. "Those are elven ships," she said. The communication system crackled to life. "Earth Orbital Command, this is Ambassador Lyra Moonweaver requesting permission to approach. I come with urgent information and an offer of friendship." Lisa looked at Katie with raised eyebrows. "Your elf friend moves fast." 20 minutes later, Lyra stood in the command center. She looked tired, and her usually perfect hair was messy. Behind her stood two other elves, a tall male with gold hair and a shorter female with armor that sparkled like stars. "I left the council station as soon as I could," Lyra explained. "My government recalled me for abstaining from the vote, but I convinced my ship captains to come here first." "Why?" Katie asked. "Because what I told you was only part of the truth," Lyra said. "The attack fleets are already moving. They launched just hours after the vote. Your colonies have maybe 20 days, not 35. Lisa swore under her breath. "Which colonies are they targeting first?" "New Texas, Haven, and Prosperity," Lyra answered. "The three largest ones. They want to break human morale with big victories." Katie felt sick. New Texas alone had over 1 million people. Haven had huge farms that fed half of human space. Prosperity was where they built most of their ships. "There's more," Lyra continued. "I'm not the only one who disagrees with the Council's decision. Many species voted yes because they were scared, not because they really wanted to hurt humans." The tall male elf stepped forward. "I am Captain Marcus Starwind," he said. "I command the elven ship Moonbeam. My crew and I resign from the elven navy as of today. We offer our services to Earth." "And I am Commander Thessa Nightblade," the female elf said. "I lead a company of mercenaries. We have worked with humans before. You pay well and fight with honor. We choose to stand with you." Katie looked at these aliens who were willing to give up everything to help humanity. "Why would you do this? You're risking your own lives and careers." Lyra smiled sadly. "Because 50 years ago, human doctors saved my daughter from the Crimson Plague when our own healers could not. Because human engineers helped us rebuild our cities after the Great Storm. Because every time we needed help, humans were there. And because," Thessa added with a grin, "humans are the only species crazy enough to fight the entire galaxy and actually think they can win. That's the kind of crazy we like." Admiral Lisa stepped forward. "We appreciate the offer, but 3 elven ships won't be enough to stop the galactic fleets." "3 ships today," Marcus said, "but I have sent messages to other elven commanders who think like we do. Some will come. Not many, but some." Just then, the alarms rang again. This time, even stranger ships appeared on the screens. They looked like giant insects made of metal, with wings that sparkled in the starlight. "Those are hive ships," Lyra said with excitement. "From the Insectoid Collective, but they should be loyal to the Council." The communication system activated again. This time, the voice was buzzing and strange. "Earth Command, this is Kixara of the 13th Hive. I request permission to land. I bring gifts of friendship and war." An hour later, the command center was crowded with beings that had never worked together before. Kixara looked like a giant praying mantis crossed with a butterfly. Her shell was green and gold, and her 4 arms moved constantly as she talked. "My mother, the Hive Queen, voted for human exile," Kixara explained. "But she is old and scared of change. I am young and tired of the old ways. When I heard about the planned attacks, I took my personal guard and left the Hive worlds." "How many ships do you have?" Lisa asked. 12. Kixara replied. Small, but fast and deadly. My warriors are eager to fight beside humans. Why? Katie asked. What do humans mean to your people? Kixara's compound eyes focused on Katie. 3 years ago, human scientists helped us cure the hive rot that was killing our young. The Council forbid us from thanking you properly. This is our chance. Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, entered the room. She was a middle-aged woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had been studying the other species for 20 years. Admiral, she said to Lisa, we're receiving messages from across the galaxy. Word is spreading about what's happening here. What kind of messages? Katie asked. Maya smiled. Offers of help. Small groups mostly. Outcasts and rebels. But they're coming. Over the next few hours, more ships arrived. A group of Aquatic Federation submarines that disagreed with their government's vote. Several Reptilian Empire cruisers, whose captains had human friends. Even a few machine collective drones that had calculated that helping humans was more logical than destroying them. Each group was small. None of them represented their official governments. But together, they were starting to look like a real fleet. Captain Rose Martinez arrived from Earth's Special Forces Division. She was young and tough, with scars on her face from a dozen dangerous missions. She had been planning the evacuation of human colonies, but now she had a different job. Admiral, Rose reported, our scouts confirm what Ambassador Moonweaver told us. The galactic fleets are definitely moving toward our colonies, but they're taking their time, probably thinking we'll run away. Are we going to run? Thessa asked with a challenging smile. Katie looked around the room at all these different beings who had chosen to stand with humanity. Elves and insects, reptiles and machines, all united by friendship with Earth. No, she said firmly. We're not running anywhere. Admiral Lisa nodded. The galaxy thinks they're dealing with helpless refugees. They're about to learn that apex predators are most dangerous when they're cornered. Lyra stepped forward. There is something else you should know. The Council fears humans not because you are violent, but because you make friends easily. You inspire loyalty in other species. That's why they really want you gone. Then let's show them what that loyalty looks like in action, Katie said. Doctor. Maya pulled up a new holographic display. I've been analyzing the attack patterns. The galactic fleets are using old tactics, the same ones they've used for centuries. They're not expecting resistance, and they're certainly not expecting the kind of mixed species cooperation we have here. Kixara's wings buzzed with excitement. My warriors know how to fight in swarms. Your tactics combined with our speed could surprise them. Marcus nodded. Elven ships are built for precision strikes. We can hit targets that others would miss. And my submarines can attack from unexpected angles, added Commander Nala from the Aquatic Federation. She looked like a dolphin that could walk on 2 legs, with smooth blue skin and intelligent black eyes. Captain Rose grinned. Sounds like we're putting together the most interesting military force in galactic history. It's not about the force, Katie said. It's about the message. Every species here chose to help humans instead of following orders. That means something. Admiral Lisa activated the main communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Chang. We're not just defending human colonies anymore. We're defending the idea that friendship matters more than fear. As the mixed fleet prepared for battle, Katie felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. The Galactic Council thought they had solved their human problem by voting for exile. Instead, they had created something new. An alliance based on choice, not fear. The galaxy was about to learn that the most dangerous predators were the ones who hunted in packs, and humanity had just gained a very unusual pack. Outside the windows of the command center, human ships flew alongside elven cruisers, insectoid fighters, and reptilian destroyers. It was the strangest fleet ever assembled, but it was also the most unified. Beth Rodriguez stood on the command deck of New Texas Defense Station, watching the enemy ships approach on her screens. She was a tall woman with sun-darkened skin and steel-gray hair tied back in a practical bun. For 15 years, she had protected this colony world, but she had never faced anything like this. How many ships? She asked her communications officer. 237, came the reply. Mixed fleet. mostly crystalline Confederation and Reptilian Empire vessels. Beth felt her stomach tighten. New Texas had only 12 defense platforms and 24 patrol ships. The math was simple and terrifying. "Send the evacuation signal to all civilian areas," she ordered. "Get as many people to the underground shelters as possible." Through the station's windows, she could see New Texas spinning slowly below. The planet looked like old Earth, with wide plains, rolling hills, and cities that sparkled in the sunlight. Over 1 million people called this world home. They grew food that fed half of human space and raised children who dreamed of exploring the stars. Now all of that was about to be destroyed. "Ma'am," her tactical officer called out, "the enemy fleet is demanding our surrender. They say they'll spare civilian lives if we give up immediately." Beth laughed bitterly. "And what happens to us after we surrender? They exile us and then decide we're still too dangerous to live." "Your orders, Commander?" Beth looked at her crew. They were scared, but they were ready to fight. These people had chosen to live on the frontier, far from Earth's safety. They weren't the type to give up easily. "We fight," she said simply. "Every ship, every platform, every weapon we have. Make them pay for every mile." The battle began badly for the humans. The Galactic fleet had better weapons and stronger shields. Beth watched her patrol ships disappear one by one, bright flashes against the black of space. The defense platforms held longer, but even they couldn't stand against such numbers. "Commander!" the communications officer suddenly shouted. "I'm getting a signal from Admiral Chang on Earth. She says help is coming." "What kind of help?" Beth asked, but before anyone could answer, new ships appeared on the edge of the system. At first, Beth thought more enemy reinforcements had arrived, but these ships looked different. Some were the curved, graceful vessels of the elves. Others looked like flying insects made of metal. Still others were shapes she had never seen before. "New Texas Defense. This is Captain Rose Martinez aboard the Earthship Defiance. Sorry we're late to the party." Beth felt hope surge through her chest. "Captain Martinez, how many ships do you have?" "Enough to even the odds," Rose replied. "We've got humans, elves, insects, reptiles, and a few others who decided they like you better than the folks trying to kill you." The rescue fleet hit the galactic forces like a hammer. But it wasn't just the surprise that made the difference. It was the way they fought. Human ships used tactics the galaxy had never seen before, darting in and out of battle like wolves hunting in a pack. Elven vessels struck with impossible precision, their weapons finding weak spots in enemy armor. Insectoid fighters swarmed around larger ships like angry bees, too fast and too many to stop. "They're fighting like they've been together for years," Beth's tactical officer said in amazement. "How is that possible?" Beth wondered. "Those species have never worked together before." The answer came from Dr. Maya Patel, speaking over the communication channel from Admiral Chang's flagship. "Humans are natural pack hunters. We instinctively coordinate with other hunters, even alien ones. The other species are learning our tactics in real time." What followed was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. The mixed fleet didn't just fight as separate groups helping each other. They fought as a single unit, each species using their strengths to cover the weaknesses of the others. When crystalline Confederation ships tried to use their energy shields, insectoid bioweapons ate through the crystal matrix. When reptilian Empire vessels attempted to ram human ships, elven magic tech redirected the attacks. When the Galactic fleet tried to retreat, aquatic Federation submarines that had been hiding in the system's asteroid belt cut off their escape. The turning point came when Kixara's fighters managed to disable the enemy flagship. Instead of destroying it, Captain Rose led a boarding party to capture it intact. The Galactic commanders were shocked when they were taken prisoner instead of being killed. "Why aren't you executing us?" the crystalline commander asked when she was brought before Beth on the defense station. "Because that's not how humans fight wars," Beth replied. "We follow rules, even when our enemies don't." The crystalline being's light patterns shifted in confusion. "But your propaganda says humans are savage killers who show no mercy." "Whoever told you that was lying," Beth said. "We fight hard, but we fight honorably." Word of the victory at New Texas spread quickly through the galaxy. But more important than the military victory was what happened next. The captured enemy crews were treated well, given medical care, and allowed to send messages home to their families. Many of the prisoners had never met humans before. They had only heard the stories about humanity being dangerous and violent. Meeting actual humans changed their minds quickly. Your people healed my wounds, a reptilian officer told Beth. Why would you help someone who came here to kill you? Because that's what good people do, Beth answered. We help those who need help, even if they're our enemies. Within days, some of the captured crews were asking to join the Human Alliance. They had seen something they never expected to see. An army that fought with honor and treated prisoners with kindness. Captain Rose brought news from the other battles. Human colonies at Haven and Prosperity had also been attacked, and both had been saved by mixed fleets like the one at New Texas. Each victory brought more defectors from the galactic forces. The enemy commanders are getting nervous, Rose reported to Beth. They expected easy victories against helpless refugees. Instead, they're facing coordinated resistance from multiple species. What's our next move? Beth asked. It was Commander Alex Stone who answered. She was Admiral Chang's tactical specialist, a quiet woman with sharp eyes who had arrived with the rescue fleet. We've captured intelligence from the enemy ships. The Galactic Council has a backup plan. Alex pulled up a holographic display showing a massive space station hidden deep in Council territory. It's called the Genesis weapon. If they can't defeat us conventionally, they plan to use this to sterilize every world with human genetic markers. Beth felt cold horror wash over her. That would kill our alien allies, too. Many of them have been treated by human doctors, or have human genetic material in their medical files. Exactly, Alex said grimly. The Council is so afraid of human influence that they're willing to commit genocide to stop it. How long do we have? Rose asked. Intelligence suggests they're charging the weapon now, maybe a week, 2 at most. Beth looked around at her command center, where humans and aliens worked side by side, planning strategy and sharing information. They're not just trying to kill humans. They're trying to kill the idea of cooperation itself. Through the communication system, Admiral Chang's voice reached them from Earth orbit. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Chang. We've confirmed the existence of the Genesis weapon. This is no longer about defending human colonies. This is about saving everyone who believes in friendship over fear. Lyra Moonweaver's musical voice joined the channel from her elven ship. My people have a saying. The tree that stands alone falls in the first storm. The Council has forgotten this wisdom, Kixara's buzzing voice added. The hive fights as one. Now we are all part of the same hive. Human hive, friendship hive. We protect the hive. Beth smiled despite the danger they faced. The galaxy had tried to isolate humanity by voting for exile. Instead, they had created something entirely new, a multi-species alliance based on mutual respect and shared values. Commander, her communications officer called out. We're receiving surrender offers from 3 more galactic fleet groups. They're asking for safe passage to join our alliance. Granted, Beth said immediately. Anyone who wants to stand with us is welcome. As night fell on New Texas, Beth stood at her window looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, a weapon was being prepared that could destroy everything she cared about. But also out there, humans and aliens were working together to stop. If the Galactic Council thought they understood human nature, they saw humanity as aggressive predators who would eventually turn on everyone else. They were right about humans being predators, but they had missed the most important thing about human predators. Real predators protected their pack, and now humanity's pack included elves and insects, reptiles and machines, and dozens of other species who had chosen friendship over fear. The Council had created exactly what they were trying to prevent, a unified alliance that could challenge their power. The apex predators were ready for the final hunt, but this time they weren't hunting for conquest or territory. They were hunting to protect everyone who believed that the galaxy could be better than it was. The real battle was just beginning. Sam Walker moved through the shadows of the enemy space station like a ghost. She was small and quick, with dark skin and bright green eyes that missed nothing. For 10 years, she had been Earth's best infiltration specialist. Tonight, she was leading the most dangerous mission of her career. Behind her moved a team unlike any in galactic history. Talia Goldleaf, an elf whose magic could bend light around them, making them nearly invisible. Rix Tar, one of Kixara's insectoid warriors, whose natural camouflage let him blend into metal walls. Vera Nolthan, a reptilian defector whose knowledge of Council security codes had gotten them this far. They were inside the Genesis research station, deep in the heart of Council space. Intelligence from captured ships had led them here, to the weapon that could destroy every world touched by human influence. "Remember," Sam whispered into her communication device, "we're not just here to stop a weapon. We're here to save everyone who chose to stand with us." The station was huge, bigger than most cities. It had taken them 3 hours just to reach the central core where the Genesis weapon was housed. Along the way, they had seen things that made Sam sick to her stomach. Test chambers where the weapon had been tried on sample populations. Data files showing which worlds would be targeted first. Plans to blame the destruction on natural cosmic events so the Council could avoid responsibility. "This is not just genocide," Talia said quietly, her musical voice filled with disgust. "This is genocide with a lie to cover it up." They reached a junction where 5 corridors met. Rixtar's compound eyes swiveled in all directions, watching for guards. His species could see in spectrums that others couldn't, making him the perfect scout. "Movement ahead," he buzzed softly. 4 guards. Heavy weapons. Sam studied the layout on her portable scanner. "We need to get past them without raising an alarm. If security knows we're here, they'll activate the weapon early." Vera stepped forward. She was tall and imposing, with golden scales and intelligent yellow eyes. "Let me handle this. I still wear my Imperial uniform. They will not suspect me." "Too dangerous," Sam protested. "If they recognize you as a defector, then I die for something that matters," Vera interrupted. "My people voted to destroy innocent worlds. Let me help undo that evil." Before Sam could stop her, Vera walked around the corner toward the guards. Sam and the others pressed against the wall, listening to the conversation. "Commander Vera Nolthan," one of the guards said with surprise, "I thought you were assigned to the human colony assault fleets." "Change of orders," Vera replied smoothly. "I'm here to inspect the Genesis weapons security systems. The Council is worried about sabotage attempts." There was a pause. Sam held her breath, knowing that if Vera's deception failed, they would have to fight their way through the entire station. "Of course, Commander," the guard finally said, "but we weren't informed of any inspection." "That's the point of surprise inspections," Vera said with the tone of someone used to being obeyed. "Now step aside. I have work to do." Sam heard footsteps moving away. After a few minutes, Vera's voice came through their communicators. "Coast is clear, but hurry. That trick won't work twice." They moved deeper into the station, following maintenance tunnels that Vera's insider knowledge had revealed. The closer they got to the weapon chamber, the more guards they encountered. But Talia's light-bending magic and Rixtar's camouflage abilities kept them hidden. Finally, they reached their destination. The Genesis weapon chamber was a vast, spherical room with a massive device at its center. The weapon looked like a twisted sculpture made of black metal and glowing crystals. Energy patterns danced across its surface like lightning trapped in glass. "By the ancient trees," Talia whispered. "The power readings from that thing, it could sterilize half the galaxy." Sam checked her scanner and felt her blood turn to ice. "It's charging. The countdown shows 18 hours until full activation." "Can we destroy it?" Rixtar asked, his wings twitching with nervousness. "Not without causing an explosion that would destroy this entire sector of space," Vera replied, studying the weapon's control systems. "The power core is too unstable." Sam's mind raced through possibilities. They had come here to stop the weapon, but simply destroying it wasn't an option. Too many innocent people would die in the explosion. "There has to be another way," she muttered, moving closer to the control panels. That's when she saw it. Hidden in the weapon's programming was something the Council hadn't expected her to find. The Genesis weapon wasn't just designed to target human genetic markers. It was designed to target anyone who had been exposed to human medical treatment, human technology, or even human food. "This is worse than we thought," Sam said, downloading the data. "This weapon would kill every species that has ever traded with humans, every world that has human-built technology, every person who has been treated by human doctors." "That's billions of people," Talia said in horror, "including most of the Council members themselves. They've all had contact with human medicine, or technology." Vera's scales darkened with anger. The fools don't realize they're planning to destroy themselves along with everyone else. No, Sam said slowly, understanding dawning on her face. They do realize it. That's the point. The others looked at her in confusion. Don't you see? Sam continued. The council leadership knows they can't go back to the way things were before humans joined the galaxy. Human influence has spread too far, so they're planning to destroy everything and start over. Madness, Rixtar buzzed. Pure madness. Madness born of fear, Talia agreed. They would rather rule over ashes than share power with others. Sam began working frantically at the control systems. We can't destroy the weapon, but maybe we can reprogram it. To do what? Vera asked. To target only the specific genetic markers of the council leadership, Sam replied. Turn their own weapon against them. That would make us no better than they are, Talia protested. Sam paused in her work. The elf was right. Using the weapon to kill the council leaders would save billions of lives, but it would also make the Alliance into the very thing the council claimed they were. Ruthless killers who eliminated their enemies. Then what do you suggest? Sam asked. It was Rixtar who came up with the answer. We reprogram it to target the weapon itself, make it consume its own power source. The explosion would be contained within the station's energy shields. That might work, Vera said, studying the schematics. But it would take time, and we'd have to stay here to complete the reprogramming manually. Sam understood what that meant. They would have to sacrifice themselves to save the galaxy. She looked at her team, these beings from different worlds who had chosen to trust her with their lives. You don't have to stay, she told them. I can finish this alone. No, Talia said firmly. We came here together. We finish this together. The hive protects the hive, Rixtar agreed. We are all hive now. Vera placed a scaled hand on Sam's shoulder. My people chose fear over friendship. Let me choose better. As they worked to reprogram the weapon, alarms suddenly began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and automated voices announced a security breach. They know we're here, Sam said, her fingers flying over the control systems. How much more time do you need? Talia asked, preparing her magic for combat. 20 minutes, Sam replied. Maybe 15 if I skip the safety protocols. Then you'll have it, Vera said, checking her weapons. Whatever it takes. The first wave of guards burst through the chamber doors, just as Sam completed the basic reprogramming. But she still needed time to implement the final sequences that would turn the weapon on itself. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Elf magic clashed with crystalline energy weapons. Insectoid bioacids dissolved reptilian armor. And through it all, Sam worked desperately at the controls, sweat dripping down her face as she raced against time. Sam, Talia called out, using her magic to deflect a blast that would have taken Sam's head off. Hurry! Almost there, Sam gasped, her hands moving faster than ever before. More guards poured into the chamber. Vera fell, her golden scales stained with blue blood. But she kept fighting from the ground. Rixtar's wing was torn, but his natural weapons still carved through enemy ranks. 5 more minutes, Sam shouted. We don't have 5 minutes, Talia replied, her magic beginning to falter under the constant attacks. That's when the unexpected happened. The chamber doors exploded inward, and new figures rushed in. But these weren't more council guards. They were allies. Captain Rose Martinez led a full assault team of humans, elves, and insects through the breach. Sorry, we're late, she called out, her weapon cutting down enemy guards. Traffic was murder getting here. How did you find us? Sam asked without stopping her work. Admiral Chang tracked your mission signal, Rose replied. Figured you might need backup. With reinforcements holding off the guards, Sam was able to complete the reprogramming. The Genesis weapon's lights changed from red to blue, indicating that the system had accepted the new commands. Everyone out! Sam yelled. This whole station is about to become one big firework! They ran through corridors filled with panicking. Station personnel. Some tried to stop them, but most were too concerned with escaping the imminent explosion to care about a few intruders. Katie Morrison stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity, watching the ancient council homeworld grow larger on the main screen. Around her ship, the largest fleet in galactic history moved through space like a living thing. Humans, Elves, insects, reptiles, aquatics, and dozens of other species flew together in perfect formation. "Final approach to Galactic Prime," announced Commander Nina Brooks, the fleet tactical coordinator. She was a calm woman with silver hair who had spent her career studying alien battle tactics. "All ships report ready for the final operation." "Any word from the Council?" Katie asked. "They're still demanding our surrender," Admiral Lisa Chang replied from her position at the tactical display. "They claim we're terrorists and pirates who have stolen their ships and corrupted their citizens." Katie almost laughed. After everything that had happened, the Council still didn't understand. They thought this was about conquest or revenge. They couldn't see that it was about something much simpler and much more important. It was about the right to choose friendship over fear. "Open a channel to all ships," Katie ordered. "All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." The communication officer nodded. "You're broadcasting to both fleets, Ambassador. Everyone can hear you." Katie took a deep breath. This was her last chance to prevent a battle that would reshape the galaxy. She had to try, even though she knew the Council leaders would never listen. "People of the galaxy," she began, her voice carrying to millions of beings across hundreds of ships. "My name is Katie Morrison, representative of Earth and speaker for the Galactic Alliance of Free Worlds." She could see the Council's defensive fleet ahead, arranged in perfect battle lines around their homeworld. Thousands of ships representing every species that had voted for human exile. They looked powerful and unified, but Katie knew better. "6 months ago, you voted to exile humanity from galactic civilization," she continued. "You said we were too dangerous, too aggressive, too different to live among you. You were afraid of what we might become." Through the fleet communication network, she could hear Lyra Moonweaver translating her words into Elven and Kixara buzzing the message in the insectoid language. Vera Nolthan, who had survived her injuries and was now commanding a mixed-species cruiser, repeated the words in Reptilian. "You were right to be afraid," Katie said, "but not for the reasons you thought." The Council fleet was holding position, waiting for the Alliance to attack. Their ships bristled with weapons. Their shields glowed with defensive energy. They expected a battle between conquerors and defenders. You feared our weapons, our expansion, our military strength. But those were never our real power. Our real power was something you could never understand because you had forgotten how to use it yourselves. Katie gestured toward the main screen, where the Alliance fleet was visible in all its chaotic, beautiful diversity. Ships from dozens of worlds flying together, their different technologies and fighting styles blending into something stronger than any single species could achieve. Our power was the ability to make friends, to inspire loyalty, to convince others that cooperation was better than domination. On the tactical display, Admiral Chang pointed out something interesting. Several ships in the Council fleet were breaking formation, moving toward the Alliance fleet with their weapons powered down. "More defectors," Chang said quietly. "That's the 5th group in the last hour." "Crew members who have friends in our fleet," Commander Brooks added. "They're choosing sides based on personal relationships, not government orders." Katie smiled. Even now, at the moment of final confrontation, people were choosing friendship over fear. It was exactly what she had hoped for. "You created this alliance yourselves," she continued her broadcast. "Every species fighting beside us today chose to be here because humans had helped them in the past, because we had treated them as friends, not subjects or enemies." The Council's response came as a tight beam transmission directed only at Katie's ship. It was Grand Chancellor Vexilon of the Crystalline Confederation, the most powerful leader in galactic government. "Ambassador Morrison," his voice was like music played on glass instruments. "You speak of friendship, but you command a war fleet aimed at our homeworld. How is this different from conquest?" "Because we're not here to conquer you, Chancellor," Katie replied, making sure her response was broadcast on all frequencies. "We're here to give you the same choice we've given everyone else. Join us willingly or step aside and let others choose for themselves." "And if we refuse both options?" Katie was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was harder than steel. "Then you'll learn why the galaxy was right to fear human apex predators." The battle began not with a massive charge or a barrage of weapons, but with something the Council had never seen before. The Alliance fleet simply scattered. Instead of attacking as one massive force, They broke into hundreds of small hunting packs. Each pack was mixed species, combining human tactical thinking with alien capabilities in ways that were impossible to predict or counter. "They're everywhere at once," came a panicked transmission from a council ship. "How are they coordinating? Without a central command?" The answer was something Dr. Maya Patel had discovered during their time together. Humans were natural pack hunters, but they were also natural pack leaders. Every human in the fleet instinctively knew how to coordinate with their alien teammates, creating dozens of independent commands that worked together without needing orders from above. Elven ships struck with impossible precision, while human vessels drew fire away from them. Insectoid fighters swarmed enemy formations, while reptilian cruisers provided covering fire. Aquatic submarines emerged from hyperspace in unexpected locations, cutting off retreat routes. But the most devastating tactic wasn't military at all. It was Katie's continued broadcast. "To every being fighting for the Council today," she said, her voice reaching every ship in both fleets. "Look around you. Look at the beings you're fighting beside. Are they your friends? Do they care about your welfare? Or are you just following orders from leaders who see you as expendable? Now look at our fleet. See humans fighting beside the very aliens you were told they wanted to destroy. See species that have been enemies for centuries working together like family. Which future do you want to live in?" The effect was immediate and devastating. Entire squadrons of council ships stopped fighting and powered down their weapons. Some asked for sanctuary with the Alliance fleet. Others simply left the battlefield entirely, unwilling to fight for leaders who had never shown them the loyalty they were demanding. "Sir," Commander Brooks reported to Katie, "enemy fleet strength is down by 40% and falling. Most of them are just leaving? Weapon status?" Admiral Chang asked. "Minimal casualties on both sides," came the reply. "Most of the Council ships that are still fighting are just trying to escape." It wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. The Alliance wasn't conquering the galaxy by force. They were winning it by example, showing everyone that there was a better way to live. The final moment came when Grand Chancellor Vexilon's flagship found itself surrounded by Alliance vessels. But instead of demanding surrender, Katie opened a private channel to the Council leader. "Chancellor," she said quietly, "it's over. Your own people are abandoning you. End this now, and we can talk about building something better." The crystalline being's light patterns showed deep conflict. "You ask me to surrender everything I have spent my life building?" "No," Katie replied gently. "I'm asking you to help us build something better. The galaxy needs leaders, Chancellor. It just needs leaders who care more about their people than their power." There was a long silence. Then slowly the Council flagship powered down its weapons. "This is Grand Chancellor Vexilon to all remaining Council forces. Cease hostilities. I am ordering a complete stand down. The war was over, not with a surrender, but with a choice." 3 hours later, Katie stood in the Council chambers where this had all begun. But now the chamber was different. Instead of species sitting apart in isolated groups, beings from different worlds mingled freely. Humans talked with elves, insects shared technical data with reptiles, and aquatic beings floated in portable tanks while discussing trade agreements with crystalline entities. "The Galactic Alliance of Free Worlds is now officially recognized," announced the new parliamentary secretary, a young human woman named Carol Liu, who had volunteered to help organize the new government. "All species are welcome to join," Katie added, "but membership is voluntary. No one will be forced to participate, and anyone can leave at any time." Grand Chancellor Vexilon approached Katie. His crystalline form still glowed with authority, but now there was something different in his light patterns. Hope, maybe, or relief. "Ambassador Morrison," he said formally, "the Crystalline Confederation requests membership in your alliance." "Granted," Katie replied immediately. "But understand, Chancellor, this isn't my alliance. It belongs to everyone who chooses to be part of it." Lyra Moonweaver joined them, her silver hair shining in the chamber's light. "The galaxy tried to exile Earth because they feared human influence. Instead, they created something beautiful." "What did they create?" Katie asked, though she thought she knew the answer.